Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, readers of World Persuasions. Happy New Year. Welcome to Booked, Uncorked, and Caffeinated. And this is the first video of 2025. Ooh, I'm so happy. I had a restful, healthy break. And my first day back to work was on Thursday, so it was an easing back into work. So I only worked Thursday and Friday. And now I have the weekend off to get my mind fully back to be engaged with my students and my clients started on Monday. But I hope everyone had a happy, healthy holiday. And so let's get into some book talk. So tonight we're having books and cocktails. And so I made me a limoncello spritz. So I had limoncello liqueur, some champagne, and you're supposed to use club soda, but instead of using club soda, I used a salsa, but it was lemon salsa, so I can have all of the flavor. And I have my little Wine Fest cup. I went to a Wine Fest somewhere, probably here in New York. It actually is in New York because of the middle parts of wine. But cheers, Happy New Year. That's really good. Too bad I ran out of the lemon liqueur because I will make me another one, but this is gonna have to suffice for tonight. So let's get into some book talk for 2025. So last Sunday, I talked about my last book haul of the year, which was on December 29th. So this Sunday, which is the first Sunday of the year, I do really want to talk about all of the books I read. I've made a lot of videos about best books, books I want to read, 24 of the 24, 25 going into 25, and all of those things. But I actually read 111 books. And it was a mix between actual physical books and audio books and some books on my Kindle. And so I want to go through them. So this is going to be a two-part video. This video is going to be the physical books I have in my collection. I want to go through it. First of all, it's 111 books, and I do not want this video to be super long. So it might even be 3 videos. I'm trying not to do that, but I'm definitely going to do 2. So tonight we're going to talk about the physical books I have. As you see, next time you won't see my tree. This is the last night of the tree. I'm going to take it down tomorrow. Or later on. This is Saturday, so probably tomorrow on Sunday I'll take it down. So I'm going to start with my physical books. I think I have 24, if I'm not mistaken, 24 physical books. And it's funny because I think about 2 or 3 of them I bought after I actually listened to it on audio because I wanted the book. And so I probably only read physically like 21 of the books. But I want to start off with Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. This was the actual first book I read last year, and this was a good one. This and another book, I'll tell you what that other book is when I get to it, might be my top 2, and they're fighting for position. But Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop was absolutely awesome. This is the original cover. I know there's a new cover, but there was a book store in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, that had a few of these left, and I really like this cover. So I ordered this particular book. So I did listen to this on audio, but I probably will read this again in a physical form because this was a really good book. So if I don't really rate books, but if I have to rate it, I will rate it a 5. Okay, the next book is called Feast. I was still reading Christmas reads, and I'm still actually reading Christmas reads as we speak. So I'm going to use the rest of January to finish up my Christmas reads because there are books I really want to read, and some of them were from last year, and then some of them were like new books. I don't want to hold on to them for another year, so I probably really will read them. But Feast, it's a quick read. And actually, I was going to read it again, and then I looked at my Goodreads, and I was like, I already read it. So this was a good book. Super simple. As you see, the font is huge. Is 160 pages. And so this was a good little spicy Christmas read. The next physical book I have was Another Brooklyn by Jacqueline Woodson. So Jacqueline Wilson wrote Brown Girl Dreaming, which was super popular when I was in, I want to say middle school. I have a little bit of age on me. So I want to say middle school, but definitely high school. So, and I'm from Brooklyn. And so I wanted to read this book. The next one, not the next book I read, but the physical book that I have is Maya Angelou's Letters to My Daughter. I'm trying to remember when I read this book. I probably needed some oomph, so to speak. But yes, Maya Angelou. And then This Could Be Us, which was the follow-up in the trilogy, and I can't wait for Hendrik's story to come out in May. It's actually coming out on my birthday. I hope it really does come out on my birthday. I would be so stoked. But this was super, it was heavy though. It was heavy, but it was good. And these covers are just gorgeous. Can't stand it. All this black beautifulness on these covers. And I got to meet Kennedy Ryan. She's so awesome. She's super, super nice. Like, it's amazing how nice she is. I mean, if you wanted to give her a hug, because it was kind of COVID-y times, not COVID, but it was after and people were still being mindful. But if you wanted to give her a hug, she gave you a hug. And so this was a great experience. I have 2 copies of this. I had pre-ordered a copy, and then I bought another copy while I was there because why not, right? The next one is How to Say Babylon, which is a memoir. I really enjoyed this. It talks about Jamaica, her growing up in Jamaica, Sapphire, and her relationship to Rastafarianism. And so this was a good read. I really enjoyed this. And having this book, like a memoir, and holding on to it and hearing the story was super, super good. This is a good book to read. Then When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. Now, this book upset my whole spirit, but not because of her. Like, the writing was good. I love the story, but it was it hit home too much for me. I have a home in Brooklyn. This is about gentrification, and there were some things I was like, but it was good. Like, it was good enough that I picked up the second book. Only One of Us Knows, I think is the name of it. So I picked that up because I actually like her as an author. It was just that this was super triggering. So, but it was a good book. I will read it again. Or maybe not read it again, but I would suggest it for someone to read. Then Miss Frida McFadden. I read a few of her books this year, but this is one I actually bought. Never Lie. This was actually pretty good. And it was actually really suspenseful. And when you read her books, well, you listen to her books via audio, sometimes they have the music, so it's like, ooh, what's about to happen? So this was actually good. Out of Office. I think this one I actually read. Yes, Out of Office, A.H. Cunningham. This was a good book. Love story. Kind of a queer love story also. I think he was queer. There was some controversy about her hair on the front of it. And I actually, unfortunately, didn't notice that at first. And then when it was brought to my attention, I was like, oh, I can see why people would be upset. But this is actually a good book. I will read something else by that author. Wrong Place, Wrong Time was a book I picked up in Barnes & Noble. I was just walking around trying to find some new reads. And I read the back of it, and it seems something I would want to read. I read Can You Stop a Murder After It's Already Happened? And I think that's what grabbed me. So, Wrong Place, Wrong Time. Let me get these set up so they won't fall. And then we have Divine Rivals, which was my first fantasy, I believe. And I started reading the next one, but I didn't finish it. But I'm probably going to finish that this year. But this was really good. I actually really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to the second part. This is another book, Now That I've Found You, Christina Forrest. I think it's a YA book. Something that was just different. I put in my cart and I happened to enjoy it. So I'm glad I did because books are not inexpensive. And then we come to my baby. This book just makes me happy. Like, literally makes me happy. The cover makes me happy. The story makes me happy. I know there was some controversy in it. I don't care. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It actually is a book I will read again. Curvy Girl Summer. And she's coming out with a second part. I think it's about the man. Something player. I'm so sorry that I'm not remembering the title. But as soon as that come out, I will be getting that as well. So I have quite a few books on my 25 for 25. And a lot of them are coming out with like the the sequel or the third book in the trilogy. So my book goal is 25, at least 25 for 25, but I'll probably be like in the 30 range with the books that are coming out with sequels. So that's one of them. Then Curves for Days. I was in my curvy girl era this summer. Curvy Days, new author to me, but a really good story about a young woman coming of age, coming into herself, learning to love herself, and finding someone to love her, which was a great story. And it wasn't sad, like, woe is me. I mean, she had a moment, but you know, she found a man that loved all of her. And so this was a great read. Same Time Next Year by Annabelle Monaghan. This was like I would say a TikTok book, so to speak. But new author to me, but I actually like this book. This book was really good. It was a friends to lovers story. After years of not seeing one another, being back in one another's presence and things of that nature. So it was a good book. And I read the other one, but I did it via audio, so you'll hear about that in the next video. Everything We Never Said. So this book was, I went to Barnes and Noble one day, and this was like the pick of someone that worked there, like a pick of the month or something like that. And I was walking around, I was trying to look for a book, and one of the persons that worked there asked me what I was looking for, and I was like, I really don't know. And they were like, well, this is our book of the month, and I think it was YA. I'm not quite sure, but it actually was good. It was a mystery. I actually really enjoyed it. So sometimes you have to expand your repertoire of what you think you like and go outside the box. And I did that a lot last year, and I'm hoping to do that more this year. Then Sunny Halston's Summer on Highland Beach. This was part of a trilogy. I read Oaks Bluff and Sag Harbor, and I finished up this summer with this. I was actually in Oaks Bluff when I finished that up. I was on the beach, and my friends were like, "Are you finished?" I was like, "I got one more chapter. Let me get a second. Let me get a sip." So I actually finished that while I was on the beach. I talked about this book a couple of times throughout Bookmas, The Garden Within, by Dr. Anita Phillips. This was an excellent read. It talks about getting your emotions in line with moving forward in your life. And I would suggest this book for anyone that is just trying to understand who they are, where they come from, whose they are if you're Christian. She's a trained psychologist. I know she's a trained therapist. She's a trauma therapist, but she's also a minister. So this was a great read for those who like to combine the two. I'm a Christian woman. I think you need therapy and Jesus. That's just me. I'm not going to be long on my soapbox, but this was a really great read if you have those same thought processes. Then I finally read The Big Boy, R.F. Wong Babel. I really enjoyed this book. She has a new one coming out. I haven't read the Poppy Seed trilogy. I did start off with Yellowface, and I started off with Yellowface because Yellowface was like everywhere when I read it, and so I really enjoyed it. And then this was everywhere, and I was like, oh, that's the same author of Yellowface. So she might be an auto-buy author for me if and when I buy her next release that's coming out this summer and I enjoy it. Then I'm going to invest in the Poppy series, the Poppy Wars trilogy. So looking forward to reading more from her. Then these next three were they were books I wanted to read, right? And the first one I super enjoyed, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I was looking for that cozy read. You know, I was during that October, November pumpkin spice era, and I am a pumpkin spice girl. I do like pumpkin spice. So I was like, oh, I'm ready. Thoroughly enjoyed this. Now, pumpkin spice was spicy. You thinking you're gonna get, oh, let me just give me a little cozy read. No, this was spicy. So this is not like young adult, nothing. This was full on spice, but I enjoyed it. Then of course, because I'm a completionist, I got the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. Got that. Enjoyed it. Kind of the same theme, same characters, different relationships. So this started with like one relationship, and this was the other relationship, same town. It was like a kind of a continue. You can read them separately, but if you read them back to back, it kind of makes sense, right? So then I was like, okay. Then I got to the Christmas Tree Farm. I'm not gonna lie. When I got to this third book, I was bored because it was kind of like the same story. And then this was extra spicy for like no freaking reason. Um, and I must be a glutton for punishment because there's a fourth one that comes out, the Strawberry Shop comes out in March. I'm gonna get it because I'm a completionist, but then I'm gonna put them together and throw them in the little libraries, a little free library. And I usually don't give away books, so that says a lot. But I actually would like to see if she's written other books instead of like seasonal books, to see what other writing she has under her belt. Like I said, I really enjoyed the Pumpkin Spice Cafe and the Cinnamon Bun Bookshop. But by the time you got to the Christmas Tree Farm, it got a little redundant with how the people met in this small town feel, and you kind of knew what was happening. So by the time I got here, I was over it. And I had a friend that read this book and only read this one and did not like it. So maybe it's just this particular book because she didn't read the other two. She just read this. So I don't know. It might have been this. But Lori Gilmore, I'm going to try to give you another chance. And then I saw this in the store one day when I was just in Barnes and Noble, and I have the Caravel trilogy, but I didn't know they had a holiday novella. And so I read this before I read Caravel. But Caravel, the trilogy, is the Legendary and Finale is on my book reads list for 2025. And those are some big books. That's why I only made my list 25, because most of the books I want to read are big boys. And last but not least, of the physical books, Jacquel J, Second Chance Christmas. This was a really good book. It got a little heavy for a second and a half. Also, I didn't feel like it was super Christmassy. And I heard someone say the other, I think it was Shaughnessy, said that you can read this any time of the year because it wasn't super Christmassy, and I agree with her. But it was a good read. Once again, Black author, Black people, I'm all for it. Black people on the cover. And it seems, I feel like most of the books this season had this picture, like Black guy pick up Black girl, they made it, they love one another, they went through some things, had to go through some personal things, but they realized they wanted to be with one another. So those are the 24 physical books that I read. So this will be part 1. Next Sunday, I will put up part 2. And that's probably going to be a little bit longer because once again, I read 111 books, and this is just 24. And even some of these books, 1 or 2 of these books, was done by Oyo. I just picked them up because I love the book so much. So once again, like, share, subscribe. Booked, Uncorked, and Caffeinated. I'm happy to be in the new year. I haven't made super intentional goals, but I do have some intentions, and not all book related, some personal and professional stuff. And so I'm looking to see what 2025 brings. I can't believe it's 2025. I remember when it turned 2000 and everyone was like, what's happening? But yet we are here, and I'm happy to be in the land of the living, and I hope you are too. And until I see you, cheers. Have a good one. Bye.